Hello, everybody. So I got some great news out of the country of Austria right now. So the Populist Party and the mainstream Conservative Party have formed a vast majority. About two-thirds of the seats in the Austrian parliaments are now from their right-wing party, their standard Conservative Party, and also their populist new farther to right nationalistic party. I think this is great news because this means that Austria has the potential of leaving the European Union, or at least closing their borders, which I think will be beneficial to the populist cause. Because Brexit can't be the only thing in the EU about leaving the EU. See, the other countries now need to start ripping the EU apart. However, this is good news, but Austria is just a small nation. So Austria is a relatively minor player in the EU, but they're an influential and wealthy country nonetheless. They're, however, almost right on the border between Central Europe and the Balkans, where the vast majority of the Middle Eastern migrants are coming through. In Austria and also Hungary, Romania, these countries are all on the front line of the immigration crisis. So this is why I believe that the populist movement in Europe is extremely strong in these countries, particularly Hungary and also Poland. These are fairly relatively conservative countries that are rejecting the infringement on the sovereignty inflicted upon them by Germany and the rest of the EU. So the Austrian Populist Party should form a coalition with the Conservative Party. However, there's a possibility, a slim possibility, don't see it happening, but the Populist Party would form a coalition with the Socialist Party. That doesn't seem like it would happen, but it's possible in an Austrian-style parliamentary system in which you just need, if you can, there's multiple parties. There's actually, who knows how many parties are there in Austria, but there's lots of parties, and this is very important to the Austrian elections because none of them really form an absolute majority. I don't think any of them have since 1945, and this is keeps the Austrian elections fresh every year. So let's look at the map here. It's pretty stereotypical, is that the socialists do very good in the cities and the populists in the blue. Right here, this is relatively rural areas. The conservatives do pretty well throughout the mountainous rural regions of the Tyrol. This region of Austria is very mountainous, and then there's also Lower Austria. The conservatives do well. Well, in southern Austria, where I'm assuming they're right on the border, does very well of the new populist party. What I know about Austria, they're an overwhelmingly Catholic country, and that's what the conservatives are, pretty much like Catholic conservative. So the populists are opposed to this. I'm assuming, and they're also anti-EU, which is very important. I hope that Austria holds a referendum to leave the EU. I think that'd be very beneficial. For what currency they may adopt, I would think maybe they would have some version of like the Swiss franc, but that's just speculation. But I think the 2017 Austrian elections went extremely well. What else? It is. I think this trend is everywhere, which the metropolitan hip people vote for the socialists, and the more rural voters go with conservatives. This is pretty stereotypical about everywhere except for I think France, because France, pretty much the old industrial cities voted Le Pen, except for Paris, which is a socialist paradise, of course. That's pretty much what I have to say about the rise of populism in Austria. I think it's very important that this is happening and hopefully resides in the destruction of the EU. But this really needs to happen in France and or Germany, which I think the rise of the AfD and Le Pen makes a lot of sense. So thank you guys for listening today. Catch you guys later.